Today for this hearing. You may notice that I'm not turning my microphone on and off. Today is the Jewish holiday of Shavuot, and we do not operate electronics on our holidays. I didn't think I would be able to come at all, but my rabbi gave me permission when I explained the significance of today's hearing. I was in court throughout the 6-week plus Manhattan criminal trial of former President Donald Trump for interfering in the 2016 election and covering it up. I want to make 3 points today. First, a jury of Mr. Trump's peers in the city where he lived and worked most of his life found him guilty. I spent most of the trial watching them, and unlike some in court who dozed, they paid extremely close attention throughout. The jurors got it right. Witness after witness, formerly inside Mr. Trump's orbit, supported both parts of the jury's conclusion. First, that Mr. Trump intended to influence the 2016 election by unlawful means, including in the form of a $130,000 payment to Stormy Daniels to benefit his campaign, over $127,000 in excess of the legal limits. Second, that Mr. Trump covered it up through 34 false business records that disguised the repayment of that excessive contribution as a legal expense. The jury were not the only ones who got it right. So did the judge. I know this may astonish some who were fed a steady diet of disinformation about him, but Justice Juan Merchan bent over backwards to be fair to the defendant. Why should Mr. Trump have been allowed, for example, to act in contempt of court by violating the gag order no less than 10 times before he was warned that the 11th violation would lead to more serious consequences? Justice Merchan was judicious on that and many other occasions, as I believe the appellate review will demonstrate. Second, the jury found Mr. Trump lied to voters and covered it up with phony documents. Does that sound familiar? It should, because we saw this pattern repeat in 2020 with the big lie that Mr. Trump won the election. The false documents in 2020 were fake electoral certificates that were part of a scheme to overturn the legitimate outcome of the election in this body, with tragic results on January 6, 2021. And Mr. Trump is limbering up to try the big lie again. He will not commit to accepting the 2024 election results unless he wins. That brings me to my third and final point, where the real threat of the politicization of the justice system and the weaponization of government lies. The attacks on the trial and verdict by the former president and others are politicizing a crime, falsification of business records, that has been prosecuted about 10,000 times in New York since 2015. Mr. Trump should not be treated any differently, no better, no worse, than those other defendants who falsified documents. His politicization of the case has led to a staggering amount of confusion, such as that there was no underlying crime specified that made his document falsification a felony. Not so. I brought an exhibit also, the May 12th, 2023 Bill of Particulars. That's the response to the Bill of Particulars that did specify the crime. And I have a pile of other documents here showing that that happened over and over again. As bad as all that is, the worst politicization is the call by Mr. Trump and others to baselessly prosecute his adversaries in retaliation for the verdict. Just last week, Mr. Trump pointed to his own prosecution and then said, it's very possible it's going to have to happen to them, to his political opponents. Those words are all the more chilling because they are not isolated to the issue of this trial, We should take them as a warning of what is to come should he return to office, starting with his promise to be a dictator on day one. That would be the real weaponization of government, not Mr. Trump's being held accountable by 12 of his fellow citizens. Thank you.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
We are here at the hearing